The restaurant's private dining room buzzed with satisfied laughter, the kind that follows expensive food and forced smiles. Silverware, clinked wine glasses shimmered under candlelight when Veronica's voice sliced through it all, unreplacing. "You, on Monday," she announced, her smile. Flawless veneers gleaming, a weapon disguised as confidence. "The boss loves me." I didn't react. Instead, I slid the crystal salt shaker across the mahogany table, watching it catch the light while I chose my words carefully. "Which boss? Because I bought the company last week. HR doesn't even have your paperwork." Did she really think she could hijack my family dinner announcement? She was stealing my job and not realize she had just declared war on the person now signing every paycheck at Meridian Technologies. The room froze. Forks hovered mid-air, wine glasses paused inches from lips. My husband. Daniel stared at me, his face trapped between confusion and dread across the table. Veronica's triumphant grin flickered like a bad connection, struggling to survive. "What do you mean?" Her voice jumped an octave. "You bought the company." I dabbed my lips with a linen napkin, calm, unrushed. "I mean that, as of last Tuesday, I own 87% of Meridian Technologies." Silence hit harder than sound. "The deal closed while you were busy cozying up to middle management and planning your little coup shares." Shifted breaths sharpened my mother-in-law. Grace set her champagne flute down with a brittle clink. Richard's eyebrows crept toward his thinning hairline. Marcus just stared, mouth open. "That's impossible," Veronica choked. "Mr. Harrison would have told me we had lunch 3 times this week." "Tom Harrison?" I pulled out my phone and scrolled slowly. "The same Tom Harrison, who's been desperately trying to keep his job since the acquisition. I asked, the one feeding you promises he doesn't have the authority to keep." I found the email and read it aloud. "Dear Miss Turner, despite the ownership transition, I remain committed to stability in middle management. However, all hiring decisions now require owner approval. Best regards, Tom." "Middle management?" Veronica's voice cracked. "He was senior vice president," I corrected. "Now he's regional sales coordinator. A bit of a demotion, but he's lucky to still have a desk." Daniel finally spoke. "Madeline, why didn't you tell me you were buying Meridian?" I turned to him, to the man who spent 6 months telling me I should be grateful for my position, lucky to survive 3 rounds of layoffs. "When would I have told you," I asked quietly, "during one of your lectures about being nicer to Tom Harrison? Or while you suggested I help Veronica get an interview? This is about me." Veronica snapped, standing abruptly, her chair scraping the floor. "You've always been jealous." "Jealous?" I laughed, genuinely amused at what your 2 failed MLM schemes, your 3 months at that boutique before they caught you stealing, your influencer phase with 500 bot followers. "How dare you?" she hissed, turning to Daniel. "Are you going to let her talk to me like this?" Daniel looked trapped. "Maddie, you bought your company." "Our company," I corrected, "though are as generous since you've never shown interest in my career. Unless it interfered with family dinners." Marcus cleared his throat. "Wait. Veronica, didn't you say Madeline was getting fired? That's why you were taking her job?" Everything clicked. "Let me guess," I said smoothly. "Tom told you I was on the chopping block, promised he'd slide you right into my role, senior technical analyst, right?" Veronica said nothing. "Here's what actually happened." I refilled my wine glass. "Tom Harrison has been trying to push me out for 2 years, not because of performance. I exceeded every metric, but because I rejected his advances and reported him to HR." Grace gasped. Richard shifted uncomfortably. "HR buried it. I," continued his golf buddy, "ran the department, so I documented everything, every comment, every blocked promotion, every project he stole credit for." I met Veronica's eyes, and while I was building my case, I was building something else. "A buyout," she whispered. "For 18 months, I confirmed. I found investors, negotiated with the board, closed the deal while Tom was having lunch with you, promising you my job." I pulled up another document. "Now let's review your qualifications. Bachelor's degree in computer science, no master's in data analytics, no certifications, no tech experience, unless we count that week. You sold essential oils on Facebook." "Silence, Tom said he'd train me," she muttered. "Tom couldn't train a dog to sit," I replied. "He's been coasting on other people's work for a decade." I locked my phone. "But back to your announcement. You're replacing me Monday." Veronica lifted her chin. "Tom promised." "Tom's promises expired when his signature authority did." I leaned back. "Here's what's actually happening. Monday you'll walk into Meridian at 9 a.m. Tell security you're starting your new job. They'll check the list, find no Veronica Patterson, and politely escort you out." "You can't do this," she snapped. I smiled. "I can do whatever I want. It's my company," I signaled the waiter for the check, "but I'm not completely heartless." We are family after all, hope flickered in her eyes. So I'll give you the same opportunity. I give all applicants submit your resume through our website if you meet the minimum qualifications. For any open position, HR will contact you for an interview. What positions are open, she asked. Desperately, let's see, we need a janitor, for the night shift part-time receptionist on weekends. Oh, and cafeteria services is always hiring. The table erupted. Grace accused me of humiliating the family, Richard muttered about vindictive women. Marcus tried to play peacemaker through it all. Daniel sat silent, processing the reality that his wife hadn't just survived corporate politics, she'd won the entire game. You set her up, he finally said. You knew. Tom was feeding her lies, and you let her believe them. I let a woman who spent 3 years calling me a pencil pusher and suggesting I should quit to have babies chase her own delusions, I corrected. The same woman who told your entire family I was too ambitious for my own good, who whispered that I was neglecting you by working late, who suggested loudly at last Christmas that you deserved a real wife who understood priorities she didn't mean. Grace started, Sheeman. Every word I cut her off, just like she meant it when she told the neighbors I was having an affair with my boss, ironic considering she's the one having lunch dates with Tom Harrison. Veronica's face flushed. Those were professional meetings in hotel restaurants with wine, ending with him walking you to your car and lingering goodbyes. I shook my head. I have security footage, Veronica. Another perk of owning the company, access to all the cameras in our parking garage. You spied on me. I monitored my facilities for security purposes and happened to notice an unauthorized visitor having repeated meetings with an employee under investigation for harassment. The waiter arrived with the check. I handed him my card, the new one, with owner and CEO printed beneath my name. This is illegal. Richard announced. Discrimination, retaliation. Will sue for what? I asked mildly, not hiring an unqualified applicant who hasn't even applied, refusing to honor promises made by an employee without authority, or maybe for buying a company with my own money and running it as I see fit. I signed the receipt and stood. Here's some free advice. Richard, your daughter is unemployed with no skills and champagne tastes instead of enabling her fantasies about stealing other people's jobs. Maybe encourage her to earn one. You've changed, Daniel said quietly. No, I replied, gathering my coat. I've just stopped pretending to be less than I am to make others comfortable. Veronica made one last attempt. Madeline, please, we're family. Surely you could find something. I found something, I interrupted. I found that you've been plotting to take my job for months. I found that you were willing to celebrate my supposed firing at a family dinner. I found that you announced my replacement with joy in your voice and malice in your heart. I looked around the table at these people I tried so hard to please for 7 years. I also found $22 million in venture capital and bought a company. Funny how different our definitions of achievement are. Where are you going? Daniel asked, as I headed for the door back to my office, the one Veronica won't be occupying. Monday or any other day. We're announcing the acquisition tomorrow, and I have a press release to approve. It's Saturday night, and I own a company that needs restructuring. That's what real executives do. Veronica were not scheme over lunches with married men twice their age. I paused at the door, looking back at the wreckage of dinner. Oh, and Tom Harrison, they'll be clearing out his office Monday morning. Security will escort him out at 9 a.m. Maybe you can keep him company in the lobby. The drive back to Meridian's headquarters was peaceful. The building stood gleaming in the city lights. My name soon to replace the old logo. 22 floors of potential innovation and hard-won success. My phone buzzed with messages. I ignored Daniel, trying to process Grace demanding apologies, Veronica threatening lawsuits. Let them rage. I had work to do in my office, the CEO's office now. I looked at the planning wall. I'd hidden behind false panels for 18 months, every move mapped out, every contingency considered. Veronica's attempted coup was just a minor footnote, barely worth the post-it note I'd allocated to Harrison's revenge plots. Tom had thought he was so clever, promising my job to my sister-in-law. He probably imagined the poetry of it, replacing me with family, making every holiday a reminder of his power. Instead, he'd given me the perfect opportunity to reveal the truth and clean how simultaneously my assistant knocked and entered with a stack of transition documents. Working late on a Saturday, Miss Turner. Just getting started. Jennifer is the all-hands meeting scheduled for Monday, 9:30 a.m., right after Mr. Harrison's departure. I smiled. Perfect. Let's make sure security knows to be especially professional. We want to set the right tone for the new era. As I worked through the night, preparing to transform Meridian from a mediocre tech firm into the powerhouse I knew it could be. I thought about Veronica standing in that lobby. Monday morning, the confusion, the humiliation, the slow realization that her big announcement had been nothing but empty words. She'd said the boss loved her. She just hadn't realized which boss actually mattered by dawn. I'd approved the press release, finalized the restructuring plan, and sent offer letters to 3 brilliant developers Tom had driven away. Meridian Technologies was about to become everything I'd envisioned in Veronica. She'd learned what I'd known for years. You don't get handed success at family dinners. You earn it in offices at 3 a.m. in boardrooms facing down doubters. In moments when you choose to buy the company rather than beg for recognition from men who will never give it. She had announced she was taking my position. Instead, she'd simply shown everyone at that table exactly why she never could. Monday morning it came faster than expected. I arrived at 7 a.m. to find Tom Harrison already in the lobby, security box in hand, arguing with Currents about misunderstandings and authorization. At 9 a.m. sharp, Veronica walked through the revolving doors in her new suit, head high, confidence radiating. She marched to the security desk, announced herself, and waited for her moment of triumph. The girl's polite confusion was almost painful. To watch the checking of lists, the apologetic shrugged the suggestion that perhaps she was at the wrong building. Tom noticed her, then his face cycling through relief, hope, and finally understanding, as security firmly escorted him toward the exit. Their eyes met across the marble lobby, 2 conspirators realizing their plots had failed before it began. I watched from the mezzanine, coffee in hand, as my sister-in-law and my former tormentor were politely but firmly removed from my building. Below, employees streamed in for the all-hands meeting, where they'd learn about new ownership, new opportunities, and a new zero-tolerance policy for harassment and nepotism. Veronica looked up just before exiting our eyes. Meeting across 2 floors and a lifetime of different choices, I raised my coffee cup in a small salute. She'd announced she was replacing me, but some positions can't be stolen, only earned. And that was a lesson worth teaching, even if it came with a side of family drama. My phone buzzed. "Daniel, we need to talk," I typed back in my office top floor. Ask for the CEO time to see if my marriage could survive my success as well as it had weathered my struggles, but either way, Meridian Technologies was mine, and nobody, not Tom Harrison, not Veronica, not even my well-meaning but misguided husband, would make me pretend otherwise. The boss did love Veronica, just not the boss she'd thought and not in the way she'd hoped.